So I do like the idea of team teaching as well as utilizing teaching assistants as an educator. I do understand the difficulties and I do find it very interesting how strongly most of our readings about team teaching have posed that students will be reluctant to and resist team teaching approaches. I think that's very interesting. I I put myself into these situations and how I would react, and I really think I would like it. Perhaps what I would find though that I like one of the professors more, and so that I would gravitate to wanting to learn more from that one instead of the other, and so I think that could possibly be one of the main reasons that it isn't as successful as it could be. Another one would probably be that it's just not all the educators are on the same boat in all instances, and so it's just hard. But I think that if you work out the kinks and like you figure it out, it's not going to be perfect the first time around, but I think that it can get there. And I would really want to utilize this approach just because I would like to have a different point of view in my classroom. I don't want my students to be so used to what I say. I want them to know that they can debate me. Like one of the readings does say that this approach does create more debates in the classroom. And I really like that because I love debating when it's friendly and when it's not so, you know. So I think that this is a great asset to that, but I do wonder why it isn't as utilized as it could be. I know that it is hard to get two professors on the same page, but I think if you do have a good relationship with someone and you think that a class could be successful and learn from both of you combining forces, I think that it's such a good approach to bring to higher education. I think that we do get set in a rut where we're like, yeah, this is how it's going to be, but I think adding some friction and a speed bump to education at sometimes is really good. Like, I do try to spin our current situation into a positive for my learning experience, and it's like for me, I'm learning how to work remotely and do all my classes online and still be in a positive headspace. So it's been teaching me a lot, and so I've been thinking like this road bump has probably pushed a lot of educators to think outside of their boxes and to utilize more technology and more creative approaches to their teaching styles. So I think having speed bumps are good to ensure that you're always learning. That's what I remember from my education classes in my undergrad, was that we're lifelong learners as teachers, and so I think that needs to be reminded every once in a while. I think that, again, you can just get stale, and once you get stale, your students aren't going to learn as much from you. So this would definitely be great. I think for me too, like after the class is done and if we decide not to teach again, I think that I would still take on those same either like talking points or discussions, point of views, and bring it into my future classrooms too. So I think that having another professor kind of challenge what you think and your ideas is also a really great benefit. I know that I was reading the post from the last ed, and it was so clear that it was like, but teachers don't want this. They want their classes silent, and they want, not silent, they want their rooms with a closed door, a locked door almost. But I think that knowledge and information should be spread so far. And so I think that inviting another professor, educator into the classroom would only benefit you, your students, the other educator, administrators who are wanting to learn more about this style, and then hopefully future students who would then also get introduced into this style of classroom. TAs is another thing that I think is also totally underutilized. I know that I was offered a TA position. Unfortunately, it wasn't in a program. Like, it was my minor, and so I wasn't like too excited about it. So I kind of regret not taking it, but I also just was like, it's not what I really want to do. But I know that my TA in that class, like, I never really, she never did much. And that's what I kind of felt like from most of my TAs. I don't think I had all that many. Again, I was an English major, and so I had most small classes. Um, but I think that TAs could totally be something that we work more on. I think that the idea of a TA needs to be renewed, um, just so that we can fully utilize what they're bringing to the table. It is pretty much just like the um, co-teaching, because you're bringing in another mind. Yes, they're similar to you because they're probably in that field as well. However, they're younger, most likely. They bring different point of views, different experiences, and should be utilized. I just don't remember my TAs having a voice in the classroom. They were mostly in the background grading papers. That's not what a TA should be used for in my personal beliefs, because I think that they should have a teaching role, because again, like, they're a peer to those students, but they're also higher and lower than the professor and the students. So it's just an interesting position, and I just think that if I were a professor, I would definitely take on a TA position if I were able, and I would give them a voice to be heard and not just have a select day or two for them to speak. Because I want to hear their opinion and I want them to critique my work as well, because I know, like, from my experience, I had taken the course, and so that's why my professor had asked me to be the TA. So I don't know if that's how it is in most cases, but I could definitely critique the course, and I could be like, this is what I think should change because it wasn't beneficial for me. So I wonder too how much professors take into consideration what a TA says for their classroom, and teaching styles too. So I think that, again, they should definitely be utilized much more. I don't know why in my classes that I mostly had, they were mostly in my large lectures as well. I would love to see them in small classes as well. So I think that's an interesting thing that I've been thinking about for this assignment. So hopefully one day I will be able to do all of these things, because I think that they're great. I think that this is great for education, because I think, again, adding different changes and experiences to our field is something important, and I feel like often we're in the same movement, but we can change it, and we can progress and evolve, and it would benefit our students in the long run. Thanks!